Hi everyone! Tonight we're gonna be playing Saya no Uta, or The Song of Saya. It is a visual novel by Nitro and I've been really looking forward for a really long time to play this or read this or yeah. Just a warning, this game has a lot of graphic grotesque things in it. I have the setting on so that it blurs it so I don't have to do it in post. But yeah, this is the Steam release as well, so this is the version that's like for everybody. If you know what types of things are in the original release, then yeah. So yeah, I've been really looking forward to playing this, and I hope you guys also enjoy playing this with me. I don't know how many parts this is. I don't really know how long this game is. I don't really know. I don't have that all planned out yet. But anyways, we'll figure that out later together. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. This story is a work of fiction. The procedure and conditions described herein are imagery and do not reflect. Oh. No. That's very loud. I hope it's not too loud. I accidentally clicked down the window. 3 such creatures sit around the table in front of me, slurping filthy sludge from their cups as they trade whines, growls, and sounds that I cannot describe. I wonder if there's actual translation for what they're saying. By listening carefully, I am able to grasp the gist of their conversation and respond when it is required of me. This is necessary to avoid arousing their suspicion. However these creatures look, they are my friends, apparently. Oh, is that our protag? Our protag-kun? I wish that I could still deny it, but I gave up on that a long time ago. Night after night, I went to sleep praying for an end to this nightmare, only to wake each morning to the same twisted hellscape as the day before. I know now that I have to blend in, that I have to act like one of them. Such has been my life these past 3 months, and so it will remain until the day I die. I'm not gonna lie, as someone with like auditory processing issues, this is how some people be sounding like. Judging by its tone, this one must be Koji, and the one next to him, squealing more than the others, is probably Omi. Which means that the one next to me is Yo, though I can no longer see any trace of her once attractive features. I try my best to ignore the rotten stench of excrement that issues from her quivering flesh. Everything has changed. Or almost everything. By some cruel trick of fate, my relationship to the world alone remains the same, as if an insane architect took the blueprint of my life and rebuilt it out of blood and gore. These monsters and I were part of the same college club. We studied together, ate together, we even went skiing together every winter break. Now, these are but painful memories of days that will never return. If only no one recognized me, I might have been able to disconnect myself from the world. It would have been comforting, in comparison, to believe that I had been abducted by aliens, or that I had stumbled through the to hell. But no, this is beyond a doubt the city where I was born and raised, the society that I was part of for 20 years, save that I and I alone can no longer see it that way. The world as I knew it is gone. I have no place to call home. Anyway, I can tell that whatever they're discussing is of no importance to me. I decide to keep quiet while pretending to listen. But just then... "Hey, Fuminori," one of the flesh beasts says as it swivels its bloodshot eyes towards me. "What do you think?" Okay, I'm not gonna voice when they're talking. I try desperately to suppress my loathing and behave normally, but my hoarse voice ruins the attempt. A slimy hole near the top of the creature writhes nauseatingly as it vomits some semblance of words. That must be Koji's face, or what I would have seen as such 3 months ago. Unable to stomach the sight of it, I avert my eyes and give a neutral answer. These were my closest companions. One of them had even wished to be more. How many nights have I spent crying in loneliness, lamenting the friends who no longer exist? In 3 months, my tears ran dry, and now there is only loathing left in me, surrounded by hideous creatures that I can only assume are Koji, Omi, and Yo. I spend each day trying to act as I always have. If I fail at this, I'll surely be sent back to the hospital. Only this time, I'll be locked away forever. No matter what, I won't let that happen. I mean, physical activity could affect your injuries. That's it. I can't look at them or bear their screeching any longer. Sorry, I had to adjust my seat. I jumped to my feet, desperate to escape. A spray of stringy slime from the cilia around its voice box flies at me. I try to cover myself, but too late to keep the slime from splattering across my face like the yolk of a rotten egg. Ew. I'm about to lose it. I want to grab a chair, a desk, anything within reach, and use it to smash the life out of this creature, ending it all. I barely suppress the impulse. I mustn't let on that something is wrong. However, they look to me. This is their world. I'm the outsider here. Struggling to put on a smile, I reach into my wallet, pull out the first bill I find, and put it on the table without even looking at it. I don't care about the change, I just need to get out of here, now. I mutter hastily and flee the cafeteria. I'm not crazy.
ねえねえ、今度のスキーだけどさ、今年はどっかスケートも遊べるところにしない？
Oh, was this his friends? Before they became meat? Tsukuba frowns at the
スケー
suggestion.
ト？わざわざスキー場にまで行ってスケート？
勘弁してやってくれよ、つくば。こいつ今、そっちにハマってんだ。
Tono Koji supports Omi with a laugh. Her impromptu suggestions are nothing new, and it's Koji's role as her boyfriend to provide backup. They're a good match for each other, Yo thinks. Sometimes it makes her
なん
jealous.
せ近江ってさ、この前、この年になって初めてスケートやったんだ。
何よ。スケートしたことなかったのがそんなに不思議？
20歳になって初体験ってのは、興味そうそういないんじゃないかな。
子供の頃はなんとなく怖かったのよ。あの靴、なんだか刃物みたいでさ。
No, I get it. Like, my fear with, like, skating is I'm gonna fall. And someone's gonna run over my finger.
でも、いきなりやって滑れたの？おみちゃん、すごくない？
要領はスキーとそう変わるもんじゃないからな。重心を前に出して、靴の前のヘリでコントロールする感覚とか。
コウジにそう言われたもんだからさ、騙されたと思ってやってみたわけよ。そうしたらもう楽しくって。
So it was a date. Yo feels a stab of envy. Koji and Omi enjoy their time together as normal lovers do. That's certainly not something that should make her jealous. It's just that her luck in love has been bad.
私も見てみたいな。おみちゃんがスケートやるところ。
Yo keeps her voice upbeat, trying to cover up her disquiet. She knows that it's wrong to envy her friends. She too would be spending time with the man she admires, if not for the terrible tragedy that befell him. His is true misfortune. Her bad luck doesn't begin to compare.
だからさ、ね、今度のスキー旅行、ついでにスケート旅行にしちゃえば、2倍美味しく楽しいってわけよ。でもさ、スケートはスケートリンクに行けばできるじゃない。わざわざスキー場に行ってまでやる？だから屋内じゃなくてさ、屋外スケート、凍った湖とかで滑れるところ。そんな都合のいいとこあるかな？なんだかすっごく混んでそう。
While speaking, Yo sneaks a sideways glance at the young man sitting next to her. Although the conversation has involved only 3 people so far, there are in fact 2 couples at the cafeteria table. Yo's boyfriend, though there's still some doubt over whether he could be called that, is beside her, as silent and expressionless as a statue.
なあ、文則。お前はどう思う？
Oh, this is what they were talking about. Oh. Okay. Sorry, my arm is itchy. Perhaps Koji sensed Yo's pain in his usual quiet and considerate way.
どうって。
The cause of Yo's distress, Sakisaka Fuminori, responds to Koji's sudden query with a vague, mumbled question of his own.
いや、だからさ、今年の冬のスキーだよ。お前も行くよな。
So they really like flesh meatloaf monsters? Koji speaks gingerly, as though probing a tumor. A few months ago, he would not have hesitated to rebuke Fuminori for his attitude. Their long acquaintance had forged a strong and honest friendship, but
わからな
now...
い。
Fuminori responds bluntly, his downcast eyes and sullen demeanor making it clear that he has no desire to break his
何か
silence.
他の予定でもあるのか？
いや、別に。
Even Koji, Fuminori's best friend, cannot communicate with him as before. What hope does Yo have of breaking through his shell? The scars left by the events of that late summer day are still deep all these months later. Each one of the 4 bears them, not only Fuminori.
別に運動するのが傷に触るとか、そういうわけでもないんだろ？
どうだろうな。今日の診療で先生に聞いてみる。
As though that answer drained the last of his patience, Fuminori bolts out of his
おい、
chair.
文則。
Even Koji can't keep his voice from rising as he tries to stop Fuminori from leaving. Fuminori reacts swiftly, throwing his hand over his face as though to shield himself from something terrifying. Maybe some spit flew inadvertently from Koji's mouth, but that happens sometimes. Fuminori's reaction is beyond the pale.
だから今日も診療なんだ。もう時間だから。
Fuminori snaps, making no attempt to relive the discomfort of his friends. Even as he tosses money on the table to pay for his coffee, he acts like he's touching something
それ
filthy.
じゃ
Fuminori stalks out of the cafeteria, almost as if he's running away. Cloaked in heavy silence, the remaining three lower their gaze to the table, where the abandoned 10,000 yen bill sways forlornly. Where the abandoned 10,000 yen bill sways forlornly. Fuminori's coffee is
やっ
untouched.
てられないわね。
Omi says with a sigh, but Koji shakes his head reproachfully.
みのりにはもう少し時間が必要なんだと思う。
I don't know. Would you guys want me to read what they say? But it's already voiced. But if you're just, I guess if you're just listening and you're not watching, you don't know what they're saying. So maybe I'll start voicing it, and then I'll start reading them, and then you guys can just tell me if that's what you want the next time. 'Cause this is not gonna be one video. Fuminori just needs a little more
だって
time.
もう3ヶ月よ。なんなのよあれ。付き合ってるこっちが変になりそうよ。
But it's been 3 months. What's with his attitude? I feel like I'm going crazy hanging around him.
俺だってわからない。わかるはずもないと思う。
Hey, I don't understand what he's going through either. I don't think any
お
of
前だっ
us
て
can.
想像つくか？あんなひどい形で家族全員を奪われて平気でいられるわけないよ。
Can you imagine losing your whole family like that? That'd screw anyone up. It could have happened to anyone. A tractor trailer flipped over on the highway, crushing the Sakisaka family car into twisted scrap. They said it had been difficult to tell the bodies of Fuminori's parents apart. Oh no, it's terrible. For a while, it had looked as if there was no hope for Fuminori either. It was nothing short of a miracle that he was able to leave the hospital and return to a normal life.
見舞いに行った時なんてもっとひどかったじゃないか。誰が誰かもわからずに怯えて暴れてベッドに縛り付けられて。
He was worse when we went to see him in the hospital, remember? He was terrified of us, like he didn't know who we were. He even had to be tied to the bed. He freaked out so
No.
bad.
よくあそこまで立ち直ってくれたと思う。
I'm just glad he's made it this
そ
far.
れにしたって変よ咲坂くん。私たちのこと見る目つき。あれ何なの？まるで
There's
こ
still
っちが人間じゃないみたい。
I thought she was done. Sorry. There's still something strange about him. What's with the way he looks at us? It's like we're not even human.
よせ、オミ。
Cut it out, Omi. Koji says forcefully, probably less out of empathy for his friend than out of consideration for Yo. While Koji's kindness makes her happy, Yo also knows that she mustn't take advantage of it. Fuminori is the victim, just as Koji said. He's the one He's the one who most deserves sympathy. Yo's feelings for Fuminori are her problem, and no one else's. She doesn't blame Fuminori for not giving her an answer after she worked up the courage to ask him out. In fact, she thinks even more fondly of him for taking the time to consider than she would have had he treated their relationship casually. Apparently, the fact that Fuminori did not reject her was enough to make them a couple in Koji and Omi's eyes. They've had plenty of fun at Yo and Fuminori's expense since. The truth of it, though, is that he still hasn't given her an answer. After revealing her feelings to him, Yo didn't see Fuminori again until a week later, and then she could only stare at his broken body through the window of the ICU. And when he was finally released after 50 days that seemed an eternity, he was somehow different. She's starting to doubt that he even remembers what she confessed to him before the accident. Now winter is coming and her feelings hang forgotten in the cold, lonely air. Dr. Tambo Ryoko has never had a more troublesome patient.
その後の経過はどうですか、咲坂さん。
Any changes since your last
い
visit?
え、別段。これといって問題もなく。
No, nothing to speak of. His voice is hard and flat. His words toss carelessly into the air. It's like he's speaking to himself in an empty room. Ryoko is a surgeon, not a psychiatrist, but even she can sense the thickness of the wall he has erected between himself and the
吐き気や
world.
めまい、幻聴や幻覚といった体験は？
Any nausea, dizziness, dizziness, or
いえ、何
hallucinations?
も。
No. While Sakisaka appears to be looking at Ryoko, his gaze is actually aimed a fraction down into the side. He's only superficially engaged in the conversation, when in truth it does not interest him in the slightest. Perfect rejection. Realizing that she can't interview him like this, Ryoko sighs and sets her chart
さきさ
aside.
かさん、あなたが当院で受けた処置は脳神経医学の分野では世界的に最先端の治療でした。そのことはご存知ですよね。
Mr. Sakisaka, the procedure you received at this hospital was the latest in experimental neurosurgery. We explained this before, didn't we? Treatment of subdural hematoma through the use of micromachines. Oh my god, that's a lot of big words. A procedure available in Japan exclusively here at T University had been the only way to save Sakisaka Fuminori from a cerebral contusion that should have been fatal.
最先端であるということは、まだまだデータの出揃っていない危険性の伴う治療法だったという意味でもあります。
With any experimental treatment, there is always the risk of unexpected
そうでしょうね。
complications. Of course. Sakisaka Fuminori's lips twist slightly in what might be a bitter or mocking smile, but it's gone before Ryoko can discern its meaning.
普通こんなことを言って脅かすのは医者として問題なんですが、
Normally, I would never say anything to frighten a
施術後
patient,
に重大な脳障害をきたしたケースも報告されているんです。予後の経過には十分に注意しなければなりません。
but there have been reports of serious neurological disorders post-surgery. We must continue to monitor your condition carefully. Hence these weekly checkups, if only he would take them a little more seriously.
先週の MRI はどうでした？
How was last week's MRI? Sakisaka asked abruptly, as if to catch Ryoko off guard. MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, is a way for doctors to examine the brain in detail without opening the patient's skull. Surprised by Sakisaka's uncommon technical knowledge, Ryoko recalls his
そういえばあな
profile.
たも医者の卵だったわね。
Oh, that's right. You're a medical student, aren't you?
先生が心配しているような脳機能不全は画像診断だけでも十分にわかるはずですよね。何か異常はあったんですか？
The kind of anomaly you're worried about should show up on the MRI, right? Did you find
Yeah.
anything? No. There was nothing, not the slightest hint of abnormal activity. For a procedure with such a low rate of success, the results have been nothing short of miraculous. However, something still bothers Yoko. She can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something beneath his guarded exterior. Some terrible weight on his soul, perhaps. But if it's an inorganic problem, then there's nothing she can do as long as he refuses to explain it.
大丈夫ですよ先生。現に僕は今こうして病院の外でも何不自由なく生活しています。問題なんてないでしょ。
I'm fine. I've been on my own for 3 months without any problems. What could go wrong now?
ねえ咲坂さん、こういった難しい手術は予後不断が原則なんです。もう少し私たちを信用してもらえませんと。
Please, you know that continued observation is required after these difficult surgeries. You have to trust us a little
そ
more.
うですよね。僕だって先生方を信用したい。どんな相談にも乗ってもらえるんですか？
I suppose you're right. I do want to trust you, doctor. Can I come to you with
え
anything?
え、もちろん。
Yes, of course, Ryoko answers, smiling to cover up her irritation. Sakisaka asked exactly the same question during last week's visit.
じゃあ先週の話の続きなんですが、先生、あれから大貝教授については何か分かりましたか？
Well then, let's pick up where we left off. Have you learned anything about Dr. Ogai? Unable to answer, Yoko hardens the mask of her smile. As before, the patient is inquiring about someone whom he has no business
大
knowing.
貝教授のことは、あなたの治療とは何の関係もないでしょ？
If you don't mind my asking, what does Dr. Ogai have to do with your
信
treatment?
頼しろと言った矢先にいきなり隠し事ですか？
You just told me to trust you, and now you're keeping secrets? Yoko is used to patients treating her with hostility. Some degree of paranoia is natural when dealing with a person whose mistakes could kill you. In Sakisaka, however, she doesn't see the anxiety that other patients exhibit. His demeanor is perfectly calm, almost like a detective questioning a
何
suspect.
分だいぶ前にここを辞められた方ですからね。私個人としても交流があったわけではないし。
He left this hospital some time ago. I never had any contact with him
辞
myself.
めた理由はご存知ない。
Do you know why he left?
ええ、おそらく個人的な事情でしょうね。
Yes, I believe it was personal. Yoko answers smoothly, her earlier hesitation gone. Having decided at the outset to lie, she has no trouble doing so with a straightforward... I don't know what happened to me reading this whole sentence. Okay, I'm just gonna start over. Yes, I believe it was personal. Yoko answers smoothly, her earlier hesitation gone. Having decided at the outset to lie, she has no trouble doing so with a straight face.
それにしても、咲坂さん、なぜあなたはそんなに大貝教授にこだわるんです？お知り合いですか？
Oh, sorry. But why do you keep asking about Dr. Ogai? Are you acquainted? Acquainted?
教授は今失踪中なんです。知ってましたか？
Did you know that the doctor has gone
いい
missing?
え、
No. Yoko realizes that her answer may have been a little too quick. She should have acted more surprised.
近頃教授の身内の人間と恋にしていましてね。その人から調査を頼まれているんです。
I recently become close with a relative of his. It was she who asked me to find him. A relative? Yoko considers this with a
大貝
frown.
教授に縁者の方はおられないはずですが。
I didn't think Dr. Ogai had any relatives.
誰から聞きました？
Oh? Who told
そ
you
れ
that?
は噂話に。
I heard it from a nurse, Yoko replies, remembering that she just claimed to have had no contact with the man.
そんなことが噂になる程度には、大貝教授は有名人だったわけですね。
I see. The doctor was famous enough to have nurses gossiping about him.
まあ、一風変わった人だったみたいですね。
I hear he was an unusual
なのに、
man.
誰も彼が大学を辞めた理由を知らないと。
But no one knows why he left the university? Yoko falls silent, knowing that this isn't a topic she can brush away with a smile. Sakisaka seems to have finally grasped her mood, however, as his strangely stiff tone softens a little.
僕はどうしても大貝教授に会わなきゃならないんです。
Please, I have to find Dr.
彼がいなくな
Ogai.
ったせいで、行く当てがなくなり困っている子がいるんです。
There's a girl
力
who
になって
needs
もらえ
him.
ませんか？
No! I'm sorry. I'll be more patient. There's a girl who needs him. Can't you help me?
それはむしろ警察の領分なんじゃないかしら。
Isn't this something the police should handle? Although she makes it sound like the most obvious thing in the world, the suggestion is actually a gamble. If Ogai Masahiko's disappearance becomes a police matter, then the university will be investigated. Everyone who is involved in the incident will be at risk of exposure. Ooh, what incident? And of course, that includes Yoko herself. Dun dun dun. She knows, however, that Sakisaka is unlikely to go to the police. First of all, his excuse is obviously a lie. They already made sure that Ogai had no relatives who might come looking for him, which is why they could bury the truth of what happened. But then, how did Sakisaka, a mere patient, learn about
咲坂さ
Ogai?
ん、私の知っている範囲のことは喜んでお教えします。ですが、大貝教授は今年の4月に辞表を出して、以後は何の音信もないんです。
I'd be happy to help, but there's been no word from Dr. Ogai since he resigned last
どこか
April.
長期の旅行にでも行かれたか、その程度しか想像つきません。
I can only assume that he's gone on an extended vacation.
そうですか。
I see. Expecting resistance, Yoko is surprised when Sakisaka backs down. She's still worried about his condition, and the mysterious link between him and Ogai is only making her more uneasy. But as long as he doesn't open up to her, there's nothing she can do. After a brief pause, Ryoko writes progress good on Sakisaka's chart for today.
咲坂さん、それでは来週の診察ですが、今日と同じ4時でも。
About next week's appointment, how does 4 o'clock again sound? Before she can finish, Sakisaka is gone. It looks like someone sprayed the walls with pig guts from ceiling to floor. What color should the walls of a hospital be? White, of course. And to the creatures of rotten flesh shambling around me, I'm sure this hallway looks just as white as it should. I know intellectually that the walls are white. I know that the flesh beasts are really human. I'm the one with the problem, and it's because I've accepted this that I'm able to lead something approaching a normal life. Even if my university's medical department is nowhere near as good as T University's, I'm still a medical student specializing in neurology. I have a basic idea of what has happened to me, though it's hard to believe. This isn't a pathological condition. It's probably some form of agnosia unlike anything that has ever been studied before. The flesh beast called Tanbo Ryoko said that other patients had developed neurological disorders after receiving the same treatment I did, so I guess I'm just another failure. It makes me want to laugh in that know-it-all doctor's face. That said, I don't blame the doctors who operated on me. After all, I do owe them my life. I know as well as anyone how low the chance of success was, and that I had no other hope for survival. I was unlucky. That's all there is to it. The point is that my condition isn't treatable. Just like someone adapting to a hearing aid or a wheelchair, I have no choice but to adapt to this nauseating scenery. Of course it's hard. It wasn't easy to resign myself to this fate. But now there's more than just despair. Even for me, there is a glimmer of hope. Keeping my eyes on my feet, I hurry home. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood in a house that's much too large for me alone. My parents, even unluckier than I was, died in the accident 3 months ago. I couldn't even go to the funeral for being in intensive care. I had to sell my father's business, but at least that left me with the house and enough money to live on for a while. Of course I'm sad, but the accident took more from me than my parents. In fact, being on my own has probably saved me. If they were still alive, my parents would have never allowed me to live with some strange girl. Oh. Welcome home! As I open the door, a bright voice greets me from the kitchen. The voice is beautiful and clear as a bell. Human. Its sweet sound washes the day's cacophony from my memory. I'm home, Saya. Even the patter of feet coming down the hallway is music to my ears. Nowhere else in the city can I hear such footsteps. Only in this house with Saya, I am so privileged. Am I so privileged? It's her. The song of Saya. You're late. I was a little worried. Sorry, I had to stop by the hospital today. Oh, that was today? In her smile, in the inquisitive tilt of her head, is everything that I have lost. Since my accident, this girl is the only person I've met, perhaps the only person in the entire world, who does not trigger my cognitive disorder. True, her skin seems too white, and the color of her eyes and hair is probably different in reality, but even so, her form is undeniably human. And it's not just her appearance and her voice either. As I bend down to take off my shoes, Saya wraps her arms around my neck and pulls me gently into her chest. Her skin feels truly human, not cold or slimy, and from her hair wafts a sweet feminine fragrance. In all the world, only Saya is pleasing to my 5 senses. And what's more, she smiles at me, embraces me. She knows that she is my salvation and for some reason is happy that I need her. If I had not met Saya, if I had been all alone in this twisted, filth-ridden world, I would no doubt have succumbed to madness. It is no exaggeration to say that Saya alone is keeping me alive. What did you do today?
昼間テレビで作り方やってたから。
Worked on the living room. The painting's half done. And now I'm making your dinner like I learned from the
そう
TV.
か。楽しみだな。
Sounds good.
もうちょっと時間かかりそうなの。待っててくれる？
It'll take a little longer. Can you
いい
wait?
よ。じゃあ、僕は今の続きをやってる。
Sure, I'll do some more work in the living room. After I see the humming Saya off to the kitchen, I step into the living room. I realized one day that if the natural colors of the world were sickening, all I had to do was paint over them with colors that seemed pleasant. I went to the hardware store and bought every color of paint I could find. Then Saya and I tried different combinations until we found one that worked. After painting the bedroom from ceiling to floor, I was finally able to get my first good night's sleep since the accident. And when we first started on the living room, Saya, unsure what to do with the curtains, just painted carefully around the windows. Without a moment's hesitation, I tore the curtains down and painted over the glass itself. There will never be anything out there that I'd want to see, and as long as we keep the storm shutters closed, the neighbors probably won't think anything
ご
of it.
飯できたよ。
Dinner's
こっちで
ready.
食べよう。持ってきてくれるか。
Can you bring it in here? As she enters the living room with a tray of food, Saya
ペ
sniffs
ン
the
キの
air.
匂い平気？
The paint smell doesn't bother you? Now that she mentions it, I suppose the smell of paint thinner must be building up in this closed room. It doesn't really bother me though. There are far worse smells
さやは
outside.
嫌いかい？
Does it bother you?
ううん平気。海のりが大丈夫ならいい。
No, I'm fine if you are. Saya sets the food on the table. Unfortunately, neither its color nor its smell is at all appetizing. Not that food elsewhere is any
いただき
different.
ます。
Thanks, Saya. As has become routine, I steel myself and methodically transport the food into my mouth. The taste is as gut-wrenching as I expected, but it's not Saya's fault. I'm sure she made it exactly like the cooking show said. It's just that my taste buds can't accept it.
美味しくない？
It's not good? She asked hesitantly.
まあね。
Well, no. Lying won't make Saya happy. She knows about my condition.
気にしないで。明日はまた別のものを作ってあげるから。
Don't worry about it. I'll make something different
ごめん
tomorrow.
な。いつも。せっかく作ってくれたのに。
Sorry, you always go to the trouble of cooking, but
いいのよ。こうやっていろいろ試していけば、いつか文のりでも美味しく食べられるメニューが見つかるかもしれないじゃない。
It's fine. If I keep trying, maybe I'll find something you'll like. In my current state, eating is nothing more than an unwelcome duty. As much as I hate it, I need food to survive. If I stay alive, then perhaps one day, as Saya says, I'll be able to taste something delicious again. I met Saya, didn't
さ
I?
やは食べないの？
Aren't you going to eat?
私はもう済ましたから。
No, I already ate. And all the time we've been together, Saya has never once eaten with me. I don't know why she refuses to do so. It makes me a little sad. Still, I'm not going to push the issue, not when she's putting up with all the problems
そう
I
いえ
have.
ば、今日もう一度病院で君のお父さんのこと聞いてみた。
By the way, I asked about your father again.
パパの？
You did? Dr. Ogai Masahiko is Saya's father and her only living relative. Saya has asked me to unravel the mystery of his
やっぱり
disappearance.
何も教えてくれない。何か隠している雰囲気なんだが。
They still wouldn't tell me anything. I get the feeling they're hiding something.
そう。
Oh. I expected Saya to be a little more
心
disappointed.
配じゃないのかい？お父さんのこと。
You haven't given up, have you?
ううん。そういうわけじゃないの。
No, Saya responds with an unreadable expression. It's not that. She gives a little shake of her head, then smiles at me once again.
ありがとう、海のり。私のためにいろいろと。
Thanks for all you're doing for
君
me.
はそれ以上のことを僕のためにしてくれるんだ。
It's nothing compared to what you've done for me. I thank her for the meal and set my chopsticks down next to the perfectly clean plate. As wretched as the taste was, thinking of the care that Saya put into it gave me the strength to finish every bite.
じゃあお風呂にする？
Is it bath time?
また背中流してくれるか？
Yeah. Will you wash my back again? Sure. Ever since Saya moved in, it's been like having my own wife. Aw. Saya. Why are you so good to me? Is this truly what you want? What am I that you can give yourself to me, body and soul? Is this merely sympathy? Do you pity me, the exile from society? Is that enough for you to surrender yourself to such mad desire? Are you so wanton? Saya is here. She is with me now. Only in this moment is her existence certain. Only when I am joined with her can I believe. No matter what cruel fate might await me, Saya, there is nothing I fear more than losing you.
みのり泣いてるの？
Fuminori, are you crying? I realize that my cheeks are wet with
どうしてなんだ
tears.
さや。なぜ僕にここまでしてくれる？
Why, Saya? Why do you go so far for
み
me?
のり
わからない
Fuminori.
んだ。わからないのに僕だけがどんどん君に惹かれていく。君なしじゃ耐えられなくなっていく。
I don't understand it. I don't, but I'm losing myself to you more every day. I can't live without you, Saya. I wrap my arms tighter around her, praying that our bodies will melt together and never again be
教えてくれ
apart.
どうすれば君を失わずにいられる？僕は何をすればいい？どうやって君に報いればいい？
Tell me, please. What must I do to keep you with me? How can I repay you?
こうやって抱いていて。
Keep holding me, Saya whispers into
み
my
のりに
chest.
抱いてもらうの大好き。
I want to
ずっ
stay
と
like
一緒
this
に
forever.
こうしていたい。
Oh. I want to stay like this
だから
forever.
私は海のりから離れたりしない。
I won't leave you,
な
Fuminori.
ぜなぜ僕なんだ？
Why? Why
それは
me?
ね、海のりが一人ぼっちだから。
Because you're all alone, she says softly, gazing up into my
それは
eyes.
さやも一人ぼっちだったから。
All alone, just like me. The sorrow in her voice resonates with my own. There is a deep loneliness in her eyes, a loneliness from which now springs boundless
だから
affection.
さやにも海のりしかいないの。
You're all I
この世
have.
でただ一人だけ私を抱きしめてくれる大好きな海のり。
In the whole wide world, only you will embrace me, my precious Fuminori. Now I know. No matter what horrors this world unleashes upon me, all I'll ever need is Saya. Just want to say, I really like the music so far. It's so good. And the art. I really like the art too. Yo is determined to talk to him today. Nothing will happen as long as she hesitates. It will only prolong her suffering. The time has come to show courage once again. Yo's fourth period on Thursdays is biology. This is her one chance to see Fuminori. As a required course with many students, the lecture is held in a large hall that can seat well over 200. But since the room is usually only half full, it is rarely difficult for Yo to find the seat that she wants. Yo prefers to sit near the center, where it's easiest to hear the professor. Most of the students congregate in this area for the same reason, because they're a bunch of nerds. Fuminori usually sits beside her, although given the ambiguous state of their relationship, she knows better than to take this for granted. Still, she tries to save a seat whenever possible. The classroom isn't crowded today, so Yo is able to set her bag on the seat next to her without inconveniencing anyone. But when the professor arrives at the usual time to start class, there is still no sign of Fuminori. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Yo scans the room furtively. Fuminori is there, sitting alone in the far back corner. Did he miss Yo when he came in? No, he couldn't have. And besides, no serious student would willingly sit so far away from the front. Because we're not nerds. Feeling miserable, Yo sides her bag back over to herself. Wait, let me adjust my seat. There we go. Fuminori is out the door the moment class ends. Yo barely manages to catch up to him before he disappears down the hallway. Fuminori! Fuminori jerks at the sound of his name. You would think she just screamed at him.
何か
Oh, he looked mad. Sorry, I'm getting like... I'm gonna have to read or talk a lot. I get really burpy. Let me drink some water. There's a good reminder, a little break to drink some water and to do some stretching. Okay, break over. What? He turns to her and asks reluctantly. Now that they were face to face, Yo was painfully aware of how much weight Fuminori has lost. His sunken eyes and protruding cheekbones are a far cry from the features familiar to her. She wonders whether he's under a lot of stress, or perhaps not getting enough nutrition. Maybe it's both. He definitely looks more tense than he should, afraid, even though of what she can't imagine. He definitely looks more tense than he should, afraid, even, though of what she can't imagine. His eyes move restlessly from point to point, and he refuses to look Yo in the eye. It hurts to see Fuminori this way. What could have changed him so? Today, she reminds herself, rekindling the flame of courage in her heart.
お話があるんです。ちょっといいですか？
I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have some time? The courtyard is empty and silent. No one is willing to sit and chat in the cold November air.
話って何
So what is it? Don't you remember? Yo almost blurts the question, but manages to keep her composure.
咲坂さん、最近ちょっと様子が変です。見てて心配になります。
You've been acting strange lately. I'm worried about
そうか
you.
もね。まあ、あんな目にあった後だから。
Well, a lot's happened. He smiles like it's nothing, but even that seems forced. He's even standing precisely one pace farther away from her than he used to.
本当にそれだけなんですか？
Is that really
君に
all?
はそれだけじゃないように見えるのかい
What more do you want? Yo manages to keep from flinching at the harshness of his tone.
我慢してるみたいに見えます。
It's like you're struggling with something. Grunts. Rather than answer, Fuminori grinds his toe into the dead grass at his feet. Fearing that her determination might flag, Yo lets the words come as
ど
they
うし
may.
ようもないものを無理して壊れそうになるほど頑張って我慢してるみたいに。
It's like there's a terrible weight on your shoulders, and it's
今
slowly
の
breaking
咲
you.
坂さんはそう見えます。
That's how you look to
そうかい。
me. Oh, really? Fuminori mutters through clenched teeth, no longer trying to deny it or change the topic. This is an even clearer signal of rejection than his prior evasiveness. But Yo's determination is strong. Today, at least, she won't back down.
友達ってこんな時のためにいると思うんです。
It's time like these, she implores, trying to convey the sincerity of her feelings for him, that you need your friends.
ご家族のことは本当に残念だったと思います。
I feel really bad about your parents.
咲坂さんは一人ぼっちじゃありません。トノ君やオミちゃんやそれに
But you're not alone. You have Koji and Omi
私がい
and
ます。
you have me. Yo can no longer stop the words pouring from her lips. She fears that if she does not unleash her feelings now, they will be lost forever.
一人で背負い込んだりしなくても、私たちで何とかできることだってあると思うんです。
I think we can help you, so you don't have to deal with it all by yourself.
何もできないにしても、話してさえくれれば、あなたが少しでも楽になるかもしれない。
Even if we can't do anything, just talking to us might make you feel better.
私、咲坂さんの力になりたいんです。他のみんなも同じ気持ちだと。
I want to help you. We all do. So please,
や
tell...
めてくれ。
Stop it, Fuminori shouts, silencing Yo's entreaty. She promises herself that she wouldn't back down, but Fuminori's expression is terrible enough to shatter her resolve. The look in his eyes is not anger or any other warm-blooded emotion. It is hate. Murderously cold hate.
そういえば君には一つ返事しなきゃいけない要件があったね。
Come to think of it, I never gave you an answer, did I? He remembers. He remembers, and still he has treated her so coldly. That is all the answer she needs. If his words stab any deeper, she might very well
僕は
die.
君のことをとりわけ特別に意識したことなんてなかった。君に好意を持たれてもどう接すればいいのか迷ってた。
I never saw you in any special way before. When you asked me out, I wasn't sure how to
僕は
respond.
君のことどう思ってるのか正直な気持ちが自分でもわからなかったから。
I didn't know how I really felt about you then.
咲
Ouch.
坂さん。
Fuminori.
今ではもうはっきりと答えが出てる。あれから考える時間だけはたっぷりとあったからね。
But now I can give you an answer. I've had plenty of time to think it over, you
筑波さ
know.
ん、僕はあんたのことが大嫌いだ。顔も見たくない。
I hate you, Tsukuba. I don't even want to look at you. Don't cry, Yo tells herself, but too late to stop the tears pouring from her
もう
eyes.
二度と会いたくないっていうのは無
Alright,
理だ、ね。
that's just mean.
同じ学校に通ってるんだし。
I suppose it's too much to hope I never see you again. We do go to the same
だからせ
school.
めて今後は僕に声をかけないでくれないか。目障りなんだよ。つくづく。
So just make this the last time you speak to me, okay? Your voice makes me sick. How can you be so cruel? Yo whispers in shock and despair. To which Fuminori twists his lips into a malevolent
君さ、
smile.
少しは頭を冷やした方が良かったんだよ。どうせ大宮浩二にけしかけられてその気になってただけなんだろ。
You should really try thinking for yourself once in a while. I bet it was Koji and Omi's idea, wasn't it?
自分一人でのぼせてる分には勝手だけどさ、他人を巻き込むなって言うんだ。
Well, you can play love at all you want. Well, you can play love. Can't read. Well, you can play at love all you want, but leave me out of it. That's all Yo can take. Even after shedding tears in front of him, she absolutely refuses to let him hear her cry. Any disgrace would be preferable to breaking down here. So she runs, fleeing breathlessly from the courtyard with Fuminori's cold smile at her back. Omi was the first to catch sight of Yo and Fuminori leaving for the courtyard. Reluctant to interrupt them, but still unwilling to leave them alone, she and Koji ended up watching the whole thing from the shadows.
あいつ。
That asshole. Throughout the exchange, Omi was clearly itching to jump out and punch Fuminori in the face. Knowing her temper, Koji kept firm hold of her arm until the end. If she hadn't, she might very well have done it. Fuminori leaves after Yo, his every step seeming to take an act of willpower. Koji sighs heavily into the once more empty courtyard, but the bitter taste in his mouth will not go away.
どうしちまったんだかな、あいつは。
What's wrong with him? Even Koji cannot forgive Fuminori's treatment of Yo. However, the first thing that he feels is confusion, not anger. Koji has known Fuminori since long before college. Fuminori was never this cruel before. There is no question now that the accident has There is no question now that the accident changed him.
ねえコージ、このまま放っておくつもり？
Are you just gonna let this go?
放っておきたくないにしたって俺たちに何ができる？
I don't want to, but what can we do?
覗き見よりマシなことよ。
Something besides watch, Omi shouts, her face red with
私、
fury.
先坂君に一言言ってやらなきゃ気が済まないわ。
I won't be satisfied until I give him a piece of my mind.
それで筑波の気が晴れるってもんでもないだろうに。
That won't make Tsukuba feel better.
だったら私のキーだけでも晴らすわよ。
But it'll make me feel better. Yo and Omi are best friends, just like Koji and Fuminori. In fact, it was the relationship between Koji and Omi that brought the other two together. Omi's anger is only natural.
私、先坂君と二人だけで話してみたいわ。コージはついてこなくてもいいから。
I'm going to talk to him alone. You don't have to come.
本気かよ。
You serious?
その代わり、ヨウのことを見ていてあげて。あの子、多分心底傷ついてるから。
Take care of Yo for me, will you? She's probably
泣
really
き終わっ
hurt.
た後で、誰かの優しさが必要になると思う。
She'll need someone to be nice to her after she's done crying.
なあ、それって俺とお前の役回りが逆じゃないのか？
Wait, shouldn't we switch jobs?
私みたいな性格だとね、慰め役は無理。励ますつもりで余計に傷跡広げちゃうのがオチなのよ。
You know how I am. If I try to comfort her, I'll end up making it worse.
なるほど。納得いった。
Yeah, you've got a point.
あ、嫌な言い方。
Hey,
じゃあまあ、そっちはほどほどにしとけよな。
anyway, just go easy, okay? Ending the conversation before Omi's mood gets any worse, Koji heads off to find Yo. I feel awful, miserable, but also refreshed. I've finally crossed the line. I knew it would come crashing down like this sooner or later. Having become unable to feel anything but disgust for other people, there was no way I could hope to maintain the relationships I've had before the accident. Today's incident will definitely get back to Koji and Omi, and everyone will be convinced I've had a major change of character. Honestly, I don't care anymore. At least I probably won't be committed for this. I just need to avoid acting any stranger than I already have. If this puts a rift between me and the others, good. The thought of all the stress I'll avoid brings a smile to my lips. I'm fed up with them sticking their noses into my life. It's like they don't care that they make my gut turn just by being near me. I've been terrified of them until now, but today I struck fear into one of them. In that sense, it's something of a relief, but I'm not entirely without remorse for what happened. The person I just demolished with the verbal equivalent of a nuclear bomb used to be my friend Yo. Even if my senses don't believe it, my mind accepts the theory. I don't have any particular grudge against Yo herself, and I didn't want to hurt her. In retrospect, perhaps I should have just ignored her outright. Yo was an attractive girl. I certainly didn't think badly of her. To be honest though, I was annoyed when Koji and Omi tried to stick us together. It felt like they were using us as entertainment, and Yo seemed totally oblivious to the fact that she was dancing to their tune. Her cluelessness was irritating. Still, I knew that none of them meant any harm. Back then, I didn't have any reason to hurt others just to get my way. If having a casual relationship with Yo would keep our circle of friends together, I was willing to make that compromise. Now, however, there is no room in my heart for such forbearance. If merely talking to someone is an ordeal, then how can I be expected to show them kindness? These ruminations have left me exhausted. I want to return to Saya as soon as possible, but thinking about the packed trains and crowded downtown streets between here and home saps my spirit. Catching sight of a nearby bench, I sit down and close my eyes to the horrors of the world. I can't do anything about the stink or the noise, but at least I can calm my nerves enough to rest. Oh, that was a lot. That was a mouthful. When I regained consciousness in the T University Hospital ward, the world was as dark as it is now. I had not yet recovered my sight, even though my eyes and optical nerves were undamaged. It must have been an after effect of the accident. Blindness was a shock, but now I know that my suffering then was nothing. After all, my senses of hearing, touch, taste, and smell were all fine at the time. The real horror began when my sight returned. The one small mercy was that I was able to come to terms with the accident and my neurosurgery while still blind. I panicked when I first saw the nightmarish hospital and the blood-curdling shapes of the doctors and nurses, but I soon guessed the cause. It chills me to think of what might have happened if I had recovered my sight along with my consciousness, suddenly awakening in what can only be described as hell. I would no doubt have lost my mind instantly. Soon my disorder spread to the sense of touch, taste, and smell. As it turns out, sight exerts tremendous influence over the other four. The taste of my food, the feel of my bed sheets, the fragrance of my gutwell flowers. Oh, of my gutwell. I don't know why I write it as gut. It might as well be the same thing. The fragrance of my get-well flowers all became as unbearably foul as my eyes said they should be. Eventually, when even the doctor's voices became unrecognizable as human, I decided to kill myself. I didn't believe for a second that I could live in this new world. At least, not until I met Saya. One night, while thinking of a painless way to die, I found myself succumbing to sleep. Drifting between the nightmares in my dreams and the nightmare of reality, I didn't notice her enter my room. The next thing I knew, there was a face staring down at me from next to my bed. The face was not covered in pus or slime or earthworm-like feelers. It had smooth white cheeks, round eyes, a lovely little nose, all things I had never expected to see again. The face was that of a girl, undeniably human and positively glowing with beauty. I sighed in admiration, savoring the first peace and joy since regaining my sight. She had not expected such a reaction, apparently. Aren't you afraid of me? She asked. Looking at the clock, I saw that it was exactly 3 in the morning, no time for a young girl to be alone in the hospital. Perhaps she expected me to mistake her for a ghost. But I would not have cared if she had been a ghost. Either way, she was a godsend. Oh, is she like a meat monster? And like, if his sight was normal, like, and he looked at her, would she just be like meat? And everything else would be normal, but now it's like flipped. So she looks like normal or ethereal, and everything else is grotesque and meaty. Who are you? What are you doing here? I'm Saya. I'm looking for my dad. I assumed that she was the daughter of a late shift doctor or another patient. It was unusual, but not unthinkable for such a girl to be wandering around the hospital. It's no fun if you're not scared. Wait, I cried, desperate to keep her from leaving. It was only after she turned around that I realized I hadn't thought of what to say next. Well? Her beautiful eyes drew me in, healing my soul to its core. Through the white haze clouding my mind, I struggled to form a coherent sentence. I shouldn't do this to a girl, but you're the only one I can ask. No longer concerned with propriety, I let the words come as they willed. Will you let me hold your hand? Saya looked confused at first, but then she smiled like she just found a new toy. Her smile was brighter than my memories of the sun. You're strange, she said, holding out her slender white hand. No one's asked me anything like that before. Ever so carefully, as though catching snowflakes, I placed my palm against hers. I could feel her human warmth and the softness of her delicate fingers. She was there, just beyond the palm of my hand. Thinking back on the joyful tears I shed then, I know that this is the moment I was saved from my
この
fate.
半月の間に初めて人に触れた。人だと感じられる体に。
This is the first time in weeks that I've touched someone and felt them as human.
他の人じゃダメなんだ。僕事故に遭ってその後遺症らしいんだけど、人が人の姿に見えないんだよ。
I can't touch anyone else. I was in an accident, and as a side effect of the surgery, I can't see people as human anymore.
本当に不思議な人。
How
あなた
mysterious.
って面白い。明日の夜もまた来ていい？
You're interesting, she said, winding her fingers gently around mine. Can I come back tomorrow night?
あ、そりゃもういいのかい？君はそんなことをして。
Yes, of course, but are you sure it's
大
okay?
丈夫よ。夜は私のものだから。
Don't worry, she replied. The night belongs to me. And so our rendezvous began. I gotta adjust my seat. Saya came to my room every night at 3 a.m., skillfully taking advantage of the duty nurse's shift change. I was astonished to learn that she was living inside the hospital.
これだけ広いと隠れる場所には事欠かないから。
It's so big that I never run out of places to hide, she said, answering my surprise with a nonchalant smile. She had been living in the suburbs with her father, she told me, until one day he'd suddenly stopped coming home. After she had tired of waiting, Saya had decided one night to sneak into the hospital where he'd worked. And there she lived for over 2 months, searching for his whereabouts all the
学校
while.
には行かなくていいのかい？
Don't you have to go to
いい
school?
の。勉強は全部パパに教えてもらったから。さやはとっても頭がいいんだよ。
No, Dad taught me everything I need to know. I'm really smart. She was a strange girl. On the other hand, she looked and acted like a child. On the other hand, she was remarkably self-reliant and at times exhibited a sharp intelligence and deep knowledge that many may have found unsettling. I didn't care. Saya was the only other human in a world gone mad. Her existence meant far more to me than standards of society.
危なくないのか？見つかりそうになったことは。
Aren't you worried you might get caught?
全然平気。ここにいれば食べるものにも不自由しないし、パパのうちに一人ぼっちでいるよりもずっと楽しいよ。
Nope. And I don't have to worry about food here, and it's a lot more fun than staying in Dad's house by myself.
入院してる患者さんたちのうち、ちょっと精神的に参ってそうな人を事前にチェックしといてね。
I looked through the patients' list and found the ones who have mental problems, Saya continued, grinning
時々
mischievously.
部屋に真夜中に忍び込んで脅かしたりするの。その人が大騒ぎしても、そういう患者さんの言うことはみんな真に受けたりしないから。
Sometimes I sneak into their rooms late at night and scare them. Even if they raise a fuss, no one believes what mental patients say. That's so
結局は
mean.
悪い夢ってことで片付けられちゃうし。
They just brush it off as a bad dream. Her confession reminded me that the hospital was famous for its ghost stories. Who could have imagined that there was actually a real girl impishly roaming these hallways?
僕も最初はそのつもりで。
So that's why you came to my room the first time.
ごめんね。怒った？
Yeah, sorry. Are you mad? While her pranks were hardly praiseworthy, I couldn't bring myself to scold her for the very thing that had brought us
も
together.
うやらない方がいい。その代わり、夜は僕の話し相手になってくれないか？
You shouldn't do it anymore. Will you come talk to me instead?
さやもその方が楽しい。
Yeah, that's more fun for me too. With extreme care, I was able to conceal my sensory disorder. It was glaringly obvious that the doctors had no way to cure me, and the fact that I had undergone a still experimental procedure made me even more cautious. As a medical student, it was easy for me to imagine how the doctors would react if they discovered that I was exhibiting such unusual side effects. I was not about to become a guinea pig, a mere specimen to be examined with clinical detachment. And so I hid my discomfort and loathing behind a mask of normalcy, convincing the doctors that any signs of stress were merely a result of hospitalization. Saya was my support. Looking forward to her nightly visits gave me the strength to endure my daily torture. Hope can make an enormous difference in a patient's progress. With the aid of my secret nurse, I recovered at a pace that left the doctors stunned. On the last night before my release, I summoned my courage and asked her,
これからもずっとこの病院に居続けるのかい?
Are you going to stay here forever?
結局パパの手がかりはなかったけど、もう他にいるところもないし、バレそうになるまではいいかなって。
Yeah, I couldn't learn anything about my dad, but it's not like I have anywhere else to go. I guess I'll stay as long as I can hide. In other words, there was nothing keeping her
よか
there.
ったら僕の家に来ないか?
Why not stay with me? I asked timidly. The question took all the courage I had.
家族はもういないから部屋はいくらでも余ってる。人目を忍ぶような必要もないし、住み心地もそんなに悪くないんじゃないかと。
My family's gone, so I have plenty of room. You won't need to hide, and it's not a bad place to live.
ずっとふみのりと一緒に暮らすの?
You want me to live with you? I was too afraid to ask her what she thought of that, so I hastily offered to
君の
deal.
父さんのことは代わりに僕が探してあげる。約束するよ。必ず居場所を見つけてみせる。
In exchange, I'll help you look for your father. I'll find him no matter what.
難しいと思うよ、それ。
I think that's gonna be hard, Saya said, looking a little
多分
embarrassed.
パパ、何か悪いことをしてこの病院を辞めたんだと思う。
Dad probably did something bad and had to leave the
だから警
hospital.
察とかは困るの。なるべくこっそりと探さなきゃいけないし。
We can't get the police involved. You'll have to be as discreet as
頑張
possible.
るよ。どんなことだってやる。僕は。
I'll do whatever it takes. Unable to control myself, I finally spoke the truth.
さやと離れたくないんだ。
I can't be apart from you. At first she looked bewildered, but after a few moments of silence, she said,
少しだけ考えさせて。
Give me a little time. That night, she left my room earlier than usual. On the day of my release, I managed to smile as I accepted the hideous, foul-smelling celebratory bouquet. The flesh beasts calling themselves Koji, Omi, and Yo came to pick me up. Though they had come to see me many times during my stay, it never got easier to see my friends change so horribly. My sudden tears of despair drew suspicion, but I managed to explain them away as tears of joy. While we walked to Koji's car, I looked desperately for Saya amid the grotesque scenery. Even as we drove away, I kept watching the hospital fade into the distance, praying for a last glimmer of hope. But Saya never appeared. After Koji and the others dropped me off, I paused a while to regard my surroundings. I had lived my entire life on this block in this house. There was no other place that I could call home. But nothing was as I remembered. As I walked up the path to the front door and took it in the yard where I had spent my childhood, I could feel those memories being defiled by the twisted, festering shapes around me. Inside the house, I found nothing familiar to offer me comfort and warmth. What I had once called home was now a whole other world. I have no home, I whispered with a smile of self-pity. There was one last stop to make, one last nail to hammer into my coffin. I stepped into the room that had cradled me from childhood. The walls were papered with human entrails, the bed a tangled mess of worm flesh. But none of that mattered. There, curled up on the bed like an abandoned cat, was Saya. As I stood there in shock, she looked up at me and in a tiny, weak voice said,
ここにいてもいい?
Can I really stay? I responded by sweeping her into my arms, embracing her tightly so that she would not escape. Saya did not resist.